Okay, with problem number 4, what we're looking at here is I tried to factor by grouping and was unsuccessful in doing that. And rather than using the rational root theorem, which would do a whole lot of test cases, let's just cut to the chase and graph this thing. So what I'm going to propose we do is we come here to y equals, and we type in x cubed plus 3x squared minus 28x minus 60. We hit graph. And we look at this and we can see that we have roots. We have 1, 2, 3 different roots. And let's take a look at our window, and we see that my scale on my x-axis is 1. So each of these tick marks represents 1. I'm looking at negative 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 6. And we can test this by hitting trace. If I type in negative 6, I get 0. So I know negative 6 is a root. Matter of fact, let's just write that in. So I know that one of my roots, x, is negative 6. Okay? So x equals negative 6. We also know that another one of the roots, let's take a look over here, looks like negative 2, but we can verify that if I hit trace and then I go negative 2, hit enter, I get another 0. So I know x equals negative 2. And then I come over to the third over here, and let's trace. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 5. So let's put in 5 for my x, and that's also 0. So those are my 3 roots. X equals 5. Well, kind of going backwards in the process that we're used to, that would mean if x equals negative 6, that means that x plus 6 equals 0. That would also mean that x plus 2 equals 0. And this would tell me that x minus 5 equals 0. Okay? Well, these then are the factors. So, this, if things worked out right, this should be x plus 6, x plus 2, x minus 5. Should be the factorization. Well, let's multiply the 3 and see if it works. So if I go x plus 6 times x plus 2, I get 2 times 6 is positive 12. 2 times x is positive 2x. X times 6 is a positive 6x. And x times x is x squared. And I add my columns, so this becomes x squared plus 8x plus 12. And now let's go ahead and multiply x minus 5. So we're going to multiply that trinomial by x minus 5. So negative 5 times 12 is negative 60. Negative 5 times 8 is negative 40x. And negative 5 times x squared is negative 5x squared. X times 12 is a positive 12x. 8x times x is a positive 8x squared. And x times x squared is x cubed. And I add my columns there. And I get x cubed plus 3x squared minus 28x minus 60. And it indeed, this is the correct factorization. So, using that graphing calculator is probably the way to go. So again, showing this, if I just get trace, and then I go ahead and I type in each of the potential numbers. Let's see, that would be a negative 6. Hit enter. Yep, that's a 0. If I hit negative 2, hit enter, that's a 0. And then if I type in 5 and hit enter, that's also a 0.